Hi everyone, how are you doing? This is Amanda Ellis. A very warm welcome to you. So this video today, we're going to be looking at the energies for the next 48 months. So 2 years, stretching out to 2 years. Although I suspect much of what we may cover may come into a 12-month period, but I'm going to give us a little bit of slack because timelines are very elastic at the moment, and also things might happen sooner than we expect. So yeah, I did a predictions video at the start of the year, and that's still up on my channel from January. Wasn't anticipating doing another one for a while, but a couple of nights ago I was just playing with some of the oracle cards, and I asked a question with regards to predictions for the next couple of years, and these 9 cards fell out in the position that I've put them in. I thought I would read them with you because I felt as though there was a strong message coming through from them. What I will then do after that is I'm going to pull some more cards. I'm obviously going to use my own intuition. I channel a number of different energies. My main guide is Archangel Metatron and also the energy of Jesus. But there might be other Ascended Master energies that want to come in. There is definitely 2 other archangels that are with us at the start of this reading. Archangel Michael and Archangel Jophiel. Archangel Michael, I guess, makes a lot of sense because he tends to be a bit of a warrior archangel and is about communicating and speaking our truth, which is what I'm going to be trying to do here. Archangel Jophiel is linked into the energy of beauty and wisdom and is reminding us that whatever occurs, there is a beautiful world out there and we should always appreciate it. So let's get to the messages then. Let's start with these 9 cards that we've got here. And I'm just going to read them really for the first time with you, okay? The decks that I'm using I'll put below. I can't actually remember the name of this deck off the top of my head. I don't think it says it on it, but it'll be below, as will everything else that I'm using in this session. So let's take a look then. Now, the first card that was pulled out was this one. And it says, don't forget your umbrella, foresight, preparedness, contingency plan. So that really feels pretty self-explanatory, that we are entering months where we need to be prepared, we need to have a contingency plan, and we need to have foresight. These are energies that I've been talking about for a while on my channel anyway, but they are coming forward again centre stage over the next 12 to 24 months. In essence, what it's asking us to do is to have a plan B. Do you have a plan B? Whether that be linked into finances, job, food, all of the big things, all of the things that are important to us to keep the wheels rolling, basically, in terms of our life. It's not to scare anybody. It's just to basically say that we need to have a plan B. We need to have a contingency plan. What Archangel Metatron has always said to me over the last couple of years is that rather than running scared and going into panic and fear mode, which is going to slow down the process of awakening and ascension on this planet, and also not do you any good either. What we need to be doing is just making sensible precautions for the future. So that does mean here, taking in some additional resources if we can, storing some extra food items, water, making sure that you have something to keep yourself warm. If we can see all over the world at the moment anyway, with the way that the weather is and different things that are happening. So making sure you have something to either keep yourself warm or keep yourself cool, dependent on where you are in the world. It does, however, say, don't forget your umbrella. And that would also imply, particularly because it's next to this card, that we're going to be navigating a lot of water energy. Look at the water that's pouring off this card of resilience. We've also got a lot of rain here with regards to this card. Don't forget your umbrella. So water everywhere. Reminds me a little bit of the energy of Noah's Ark. Not to say that it's going to be as bad as that or as drastic as that, but it does feel as though we're entering a time whereby conservation is going to be coming to the fore. And I think I did do a video on that a couple of years ago, linked into Noah's Ark. But anyway, let me just carry on and see what else we've got here, and then we can get more specific. The central card, even though there are some challenging cards around the central card, and we'll come to that in a moment, we have the magic beanstalk. It says ascension, elevation, and reaching new heights. So whatever is occurring, we are effectively climbing that beanstalk. And I assume you know the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. You know, Jack climbs the beanstalk, he finds the land of giants. But here, you know, the magic beanstalk is very much linked into the ascension path that we're on. And we have the unicorn here on this card as well. The unicorn stands for seventh dimensional frequency. And I definitely feel as light workers that we should be aspiring as high as we possibly can go. So not just to fourth dimension, fifth dimension, but also to seventh dimension. And of course, all of the ones in between as well. That would include sixth, which many people don't talk about. But ultimately, they're all steps on the ladder ever upwards. And what that means is that we are being asked to get more and more into our heart, to walk the talk, as I'm always saying, and to aspire to a greater unity consciousness on Mother Earth. So, and it's also card number 8. So 8 brings stability. 8 also brings an energy of connection to the divine, that we are joined by the number 8 to the divine, that we are not abandoned, however bleak it might look at times, however much distressing news there is from day to day, that we are not abandoned, we are not alone, that we are here on this earth with the divine within us and all around us, basically, not just above us in some sort of magical land, but absolutely down here on Mother Earth as well. There is a slight danger here, though, that for some people, the awakening process, the journey towards ascension, can lead to a bit of fantasy land. This is sort of ungrounded energy, where our imagination and our daydreams can start to stop us from doing what we came here to do. They bring a detachment and a lack of focus on our priorities, what it is we should be doing in any one day, in any one week, just ungrounded, unbalanced energies. So very important to keep grounded, to be around grounded people, to practice the energies of discernment, to not go off into la-la land, as I call it. So those are those 2 cards. We've also got here quarantine, and this to me would be a sort of lockdown card. So there is the potential of other lockdowns to come. Now, whether this is in the form that we've had over the last few years, or whether this is different, whether this is being brought in under different guises for different reasons, I'm not entirely sure yet. We'll try and tune in a bit deeper to that in a moment. But this feels as though this is linked into potential lockdown. And above it, if you look at the position of the cards, we've got the energy of resilience, which is, I'm hearing toughing it out, toughness, endurance, and perseverance. So this quarantine energy, this lockdown energy, doesn't have to come in. These are just timelines which at the moment are sort of floating around the ethers wanting to come in. I think we all know this anyway, but hopefully we can avert that. But worst case scenario, it's a case of toughing it out and being resilient through whatever occurs. This line here in this reading, actually, we also have this card here, which I don't particularly like the energy of. Card number 46, Anonymous. To me, this is the energy of, I've always interpreted this card a little bit in terms of spying, or it's certainly a card which implies games being played, maneuvers being made in secret, subterfuge, hidden agendas, and it's above the card of lockdown. So we have the words here, masked. Oh, I'm just realising we have the word masked. So masked would come with quarantine, a desire to mask people up again. Hiding, linked into the card of quarantine, feels as though there is a desire by some for this to come back in, for us to be hiding away in our homes, to be secluded, to be in quarantine for your own good. But all the while, there is also this energy of secret surveillance going on as well. So I don't want to scare people with this reading or bring in this timeline, but we also have to be aware that this is a potentiality in terms of what might be planned. And when we know what might be planned, then we can be forewarned, and we can go back to this card, have foresight, preparedness, and contingency plan. So, for example, if you're somebody that suffers with your mental health and you found the last lockdown tough, you need to be thinking about ways that you might be able to navigate it if it were to happen again. I'm being shown the example of, it didn't happen for me, but I know some people effectively were locked down with people that they didn't really want to be living with. Could you go through another lockdown with the same person, for example, that you did last time? Maybe if you're in a shared house, or you're living with a friend who actually you don't really get on with, but there's a spur maybe to change circumstances before this happens. That's only for a few of you, but that is something that I'm picking up here as well. But definitely don't like this energy at all. This is the energy of spying, secret surveillance, watching what people do, watching who are complying, who are not. It's everything really that we went through a couple of years ago. And most of us developed a strategy to deal with that. And worst case scenario, we might have to come back to that. And I really don't want to be saying these words, but equally, I have to tell you what we've got here in the cards. As I say, I'm going to shuffle the deck again in a moment and see what we get, because this was what I shuffled two nights ago. Underneath this card of Ascension, which carries on regardless, whatever happens, whatever blip, whatever curveball potentially comes in or doesn't come in, the Ascension path is assured. Nothing can stop it. Not people living in fantasy or people being locked down. Still enough of us keep on going, keep climbing, keep ascending, keep doing the inner work, and keep elevating our consciousness. It will happen. It will happen. I always say the light has already won. We're just playing out these games now at a 3D level. What else have we got here? This card here is the bird's eye view. And I love this card. It just shows somebody and she's just sort of resting on a crescent moon. Doesn't look particularly bothered. And this is almost like the attitude that we need to be adopting. That if powers that were, as I call them, start to play more games and bring in more surveillance and, some of the timelines that are out there, then we need to be adopting this bird's eye view. Which, to be honest, means being detached to as much as you can. seeing things from that perspective, a higher perspective, realizing, she just feels as though she knows that the game ultimately is won by the light, which is why she isn't as bothered. She's resting during this period. She's resting. She's staying out of the drama. She's staying out of the circus. And it feels as though more people will be staying out of the drama and out of the circus than they did last time. People being able to see a higher perspective, people being able to see through, to be honest, a lot of the BS that might be coming our way again. I haven't got cards here at the moment linked into media, but I would imagine that would kick in again if this energy was to materialize, linked into new lockdowns, new quarantines, and increasing surveillance, which is basically taking away our freedoms. Okay, so this central card, remember, is the one that we need to keep our focus on, because here, the magic beanstalk at the top of that is not a land, which is a prison. It's a place of freedom, and it's something that thing with Jack is he went up the beanstalk and then he came back down again. We need to be bringing these qualities of freedom and unity down to Mother Earth and embodying them ourselves. What else have we got here? We've got the card of processing energies, talks about an adjustment period and a settling of energies here. So this feels to me as though it's saying the energies are going to be a little bit all over the place. To tell you something new, that they have been for a while, haven't they? But I think we will become more adept at being able to shift our energy quicker than we have been. Many of you, I know, are used to the changing moods and emotions and frequencies on a day-by-day basis, whether that is linked into solar flares, Schumann resonance, things that are happening in the news that affect us, portals, etc., moons, all of it. But it's as though I'm being shown by Metatron we're able to shift up into gear and down into gear quicker. So it's as though we get a new gearbox. So if you drive an automatic car now, you're going to be struggling with this analogy. But for those of us that drive manual cars like I do, it's the process, isn't it, of going up the gears from first all the way up to fifth, sixth, etc. And a smooth gearbox makes it much easier. So it's as though we're given a smoother gearbox. Where is this gearbox? The gearbox is within ourself. It's within our heart, our solar plexus. It's our sovereignty that's able to navigate through all of these different changes. Anything that's done, anything that's brought in, it's as though we're able to navigate it more easily. This person here at bird's eye view level, it's like she's just gone on to, it's like, what's it called? Cruise, like cruise control. Totally unbothered by what's happening at down below. And I've felt this for a while also with regards to the spiritual community. When things are happening in our world that are challenging, difficult, upsetting, of course we must acknowledge them and state our position. But beyond that, if we get so immersed in the drama of it all, we're actually not helping the ascension process. It's better if we can to be trying to take the bird's eye view perspective, help people when we can at ground level, in practical ways, but not energetically put all of our focus all of the time, for example, into the bad guys that are out there. Okay, what else have we got here before I shuffle the cards again? This card here is the card of cleansing. It says purification, detoxification, and release. You see, again, I don't know if you can see it on the card, but this is a porthole. Looks a bit like something out of, I don't know, Titanic, and it's like the water coming out of the porthole. So we've got, again, another watery card. Water, water, water. There's a lot of watery energy here. And we've also got the element of air. Air represented here by the beanstalk, because of course you go up through the ether to get to the magic land. And here this horse is like sort of in the clouds. Here also the energy of air with the mushrooms. They're up there in the air. The birds are flying in the air. She is in the air. This is apart from one aspect of earth here, this feels more of an earth energy. It's all the energy of air and water. So I feel as though we're going to be seeing more air and water events. What does this mean? It means it feels more like it's flooding rather than drought, although I completely realise some places are in drought in our world, but it feels as though there's a lot of water events based on flooding, typhoons, incessant. I mean, the summer here in the UK has been very wet, very grey. It's maybe, I hate to say it, guys, but it feels as though maybe more of the same. Okay, let's shuffle these cards. Let's put them back into the deck. If they come out again, I always say it's like double confirmation of what I've already said, but equally we can get some new messages. And I would like to stick with this deck. Just feel as though I'm being called to use it. And then I'll bring some other decks in as well. So let's just shuffle the deck up and see what we get. There feels as though there's something also in the colours that I've chosen for this reading. Those of you that follow me a lot know I'm very much into my bright colours. This is a very muted palette that we're working with here. This deck has got muted colours. All of the crystals are quite muted here. There's something in the muted tones. So let's just take that one, which is on the bottom of the deck, and keep shuffling. The one that is on the bottom of the deck is the card of spiritual alignment, and it says serving the greater good and keep focused on spirit. So this is guidance from the higher realms to say whatever occurs, keep your focus on spirit, keep your focus on service, keep your focus on spiritual service. Because in that way we help each other and we also help ourselves. When you help another person, you feel good about yourself. And equally, if enough of us do it, then there's enough of giving and receiving as well. Okay, so shuffled those cards. Let's just have a look at what was on the top or what came out. You see this one came out again. Okay, that flipped out. You saw that earlier. This is the card of secret surveillance, spying, secret agendas, wanting to bring all of that in, you know. So the guidance here for that energy, which is a lower energy, in terms of we want to know what you're doing, we want to know what your views are. I mean, here in the UK, and I'm sure it's not the only country in the world, there's been a lot of controversy over the last few months with regard to the banking system, and some very high profile figures have had their bank accounts removed because of their, for example, political views or their views on something such as, I don't know, transgender or what people might regard as conspiracy theories, all sorts of things. Although John was telling me the other day that I think this is true, that the Chancellor of the Exchequer got his bank account removed, or one account of his removed from one particular bank. So we're entering the days of complete fast, to be perfectly honest with you. But, you know, we have to just stay aligned to spirit. So I'm just giving the example of the banks as one thing. It's like, we know who you are, we know what you stand for, we know what political party you vote for, we know what your stance is with regards to pandemic issues maybe, or, you know, etc. So this is an attack on freedom of speech. We are watching you. We are watching you. And straight away I'm hearing spirit say, yes, but we are watching you too. So there is a higher power watching what is playing out on the planet at the moment. And I'm hearing justice will be served eventually. Okay, so but for us individually, just keep focused on spirit. Okay, I have got a few specific areas that I'd like to ask about in this video. But before we drill down into, for example, things such as the war, USA, Galactics, the Royals, I'm going to pull a couple of cards on the Royals, anything else that comes to me. Let me just do a few more generic cards, if I may, because many people watching in many parts of the world. Okay, so Archangel Metatron, anything else to say, please? The next 24 months in particular, the next 2 years in particular, over and above what I've already said. Is there anything else? Okay. It'll all be okay. Just keep telling ourselves it'll all be okay. It will be. But, you know, we've got challenging energies here. Okay, this card here is linked into a toxic environment, emotional vampires. It says radio toxic. This could also be linked into radiation of some degree, whether that be radiation from the sun or radiation from other toxic or toxic materials. I also feel, though, this is a warning for us as empaths and light workers to put our shields up. This card on the bottom of the deck, pick up your shield to protect yourself from, it says, emotional vampires. People who just want to suck you dry, basically, want to take away your energy from you. It's always been thus, but I think because the state of the world is chaotic at the moment and is not clearing up anytime soon, certainly not over the next 12 months, then you need to be watching your energetic space, keeping your energetic space clear as you can, clean, keeping yourself clear and clean. That also is regards with in terms of your mental thoughts, your chakra system, and just watching out for the company that you keep, both in person and online. There are emotional vampires out there. There always has been, and they're after blood. Okay, that's what it feels like. Not specifically blood. It's just a phrase that I'm using, but it's like they mean business. They're getting desperate, is what Metatron is saying. They're getting desperate because they don't understand the new world that is coming in, and they don't, and they're clinging to the old world. We as empaths and people on our spiritual path, we might not understand all aspects of the new world coming in, but we understand why it's happening. We understand that bird's eye card, you know, the bird's eye view card. We understand why it's happening, why it has to happen. These people don't. This is the headless chicken brigade, and they're wanting to latch on to anybody that can give them comfort. Of course, there's nothing wrong in giving people comfort, but only if you have it to give, and also only if they also are prepared to do the work that you're doing. Otherwise, it's just putting a sticking plaster on somebody all of the time, and then they just come back for more. So that's a bit of a heads up there. I really don't like these cards underneath each other as well, because over and above at a personal level, this is also the energy of what I call powers that were, you know, I'm just going to say powers that were, because I will not give them power in terms of being in the present. Powers that were watching anonymously or not, reporting in and wanting to take your energy. So again, I've done a lot of work on this. I've got a lot of videos. If you're new to my channel, there's one linked into the spiritual armor of God. Very important you place your spiritual armor of God on every day. But equally, you can work with the energy of Archangel Michael. We have a beautiful Archangel Michael spray here, which we sell, which is the blue ray. Michael helps to keep you safe. He'll wrap you in his blue wings or put a blue cocoon around you. You don't have to have the spray. You can invoke Michael yourself. But Michael is a good one to call on. Metatron is a good one to call on. The Christ light is a good energy to call on. All of these energies, higher energies, keep you safe, and they shield you from this toxic, sludgy energy that wants to attach itself. And, you know, if you're not keeping yourself energetically clean every day, it can do. Okay, so I'll link the videos before that I've done before below for people that haven't seen them. For those of you that know what I'm talking about, just keep up the protection that you have around yourself. Okay, and more than anything, you know, it's about not giving power to the darkness. It's about not giving power to fear, not fearing any of this. We can have awareness of it. A lot of what I'm saying so far is not a surprise to those of you that are watching. It's confirmation of what you probably already know. But don't fear it, because then you give power to it. Just shield yourself. And I keep hearing the phrase "carry on regardless." Keep hearing that phrase, "carry on regardless." Focusing on your spiritual work, your service to the light. Okay. Right, because this is also lovely. I love this card. Field of Dreams. It's the Rumi quote, isn't it? This is also a nod to the fact that we're in such a divided, separated world at the moment, where we've forgotten that we can be friends with people who vote differently from us, who have a different attitude on the environment to us, who are just different to us in all sorts of different ways, that we can still be friends with people that we don't agree with on specific things. We don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Also wokeism as well, because that phrase, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, it's a very familiar term here in the UK. It's something I've grown up with. It's something I use. I got attacked for using it recently by somebody, and I'm sorry, it's just crazy. I will meet you in the field beyond our differences. Okay, because that's the Rumi quote, meet me in the field beyond the differences. Anyway, this says Field of Dreams. It's also a nod, of course, to the beautiful Kevin Costner and that lovely film, which is about manifestation and build it and they will come. Build it and they will come. That might also be a nod to galactic energy. So I'll take that card and talk about galactic energy in a moment. But in fact, this card is about many things. We can also talk about the galactics, build it and they will come, to do with show yourself, we're ready to see. But this is also to do with harvest. So again, projections of diminishing harvest in some parts of the world, fears around that and sustainability of certain crops. Be very aware of your thoughts on that. And try to instead manifest in a bountiful harvest for all. That is something that every single year we should be planting those seeds, which are mental seeds, they're thoughts that then help all of us. They help the whole world. We should also be sending out positive vibrations to the farmers, I'm hearing. I was watching a programme yesterday, actually, on farming, and it was a young farmer in the UK. I think he was doing, I can't remember, it was agriculture and maybe goats for milk and soap and things like that. But he was struggling financially. He was much younger than me, in his 30s. And he was talking about how difficult it was. And then he just said, the thing is, if I just give up, or if we all just give up, then there's no food for anybody. And I thought that was so accurate. So that's the attitude that we have to have. We have to keep going, and we have to keep believing, and we have to keep manifesting this beautiful harvest for all, but definitely sending our positive vibrations out to the farmers of this world as well. They're really struggling at the moment. Because it's interesting, isn't it? The card of harvest is next to this card, which is the dining table, and on the dining table we've got a little skull here sitting on this chair, but beside the skull is a little butterfly. It's so important to focus on the butterfly rather than the skull in terms of depletion of crops and shortages of food. So we want that dining table to be rich and abundant and covered with nature's bounty. This card also talks about a date, social gathering and nourishment, the importance of being with each other. And particularly on the back of those cards that I pulled earlier, linked into potential quarantine lockdown coming in again, or they'll try it anyway, they'll try it in various places around the world. This almost looks like, if you can see it on this card, almost looks like the restaurants when they did open again after that, and everybody had to sit far apart, and was hardly anybody in the restaurant. I always remember the first hotel I went to after lockdown lifted in the UK we went away. We were the only people at breakfast in the morning, and the whole restaurant had effectively been cleared. There was literally 2 tables. They bought your tray with your food. It was all wrapped in plastic. It was crazy, absolutely crazy times. But ultimately, I think the lesson from all of it is I'm wanting to say to gather. Put it this way, unless literally is the bubonic plague and people are dropping down dead in the street in front of me, I will still carry on seeing my friends and family and my relatives, and I will never again not see my mother other than just at the doorstep to drop a bag of food off for her for 6 months. I will never, ever do that again. So she will be invited into my home. I mean, she could have come last time, but she didn't because of all of the pressure and social pressure, and she lives in and we don't need to know about my mother. I'm just saying, I think lots of you know what the type of thing I'm talking about that lots of countries went through. I'm not doing it again. So, keep being at the dining table with somebody, because this figure here, this skull here, it's like life is short. If I'm not saying it will happen, but say there was another lockdown for another 2 years, some of those people might be dead. And are you going to just not see them for 6 months or a year or 2 years? I mean, that's your choice. I'm not telling you what to do, but I feel as though this card, the guidance coming through is sit at the dining table, make a date, have a social gathering, because it's nourishment. One of the biggest, choose my words carefully, one of the long-term effects from the pandemic that we went through is the fact that so many people were so lonely and starved of social interaction in nursing homes, people dying alone, just people being lonely, and maybe people at the end of their life as well. And and also youngsters that weren't able to go to school because the schools were closed. Very important years when you need to maybe be with your tribe, other friends, and it was taken away. And it just feels as though this is a reminder that we need social interaction with each other. We need each other, basically. So that's what I want to say about that. Okay, let's go to this card now. Frozen in Time, 5 to 12. That reminds me of the, I don't know what it's called. There's a clock, isn't there? Doomsday Clock it's called. And every so many years they put it another minute towards midnight. And supposedly when we are at midnight, it's annihilation of the planet. That's not what I'm saying is about to happen here, but it's just that this is in the background. Oh, okay, Metatron's saying it's good because he's saying the clock is frozen in time. What he means by that is that the clock will not proceed any closer towards that midnight hour. That's also linked into the climate as well. So it's not saying that things are suddenly going to get really, great. We have got huge problems with our climate, with our weather. We've also got, huge problems with atomic energy and nuclear energy and, accidents that potentially can happen, but not a wipeout situation in terms of the world. Okay, the Earth will always carry on. So here that's an interesting interpretation of that doomsday clock, that actually it's frozen in time, and that's a good thing. I'm almost seeing, do you remember that film? Was it the 39 Steps with Robert Powell hanging off the hand? I can't even remember what that film was about, but I'm seeing that in my mind's eye. But this is about it won't be allowed to proceed any further towards the midnight hour. They might tell you it is, but it won't. In reality, it won't be. Okay. Okay, so I think I've got everything I can get from those cards. How many have we got? Let's just see if I want any. I think I'll have a little bit of a clarifying card, please, on this radiotoxic energy. Anything else to say with this energy here, please? The next 24 months, 2 years, radiotoxic energy. Anything else to say? there's some quite nasty women about, is what I'm hearing before I've even pulled the card. I mean, yeah, okay, it's a woman on the card. But I mean, I'm recording this on the day in the UK when Lucy Letby has just been convicted of the murder of 7 babies in a neonatal unit in a hospital in the UK. I think there's another 6 that are suspicious deaths. I think it will make her the biggest female serial killer, certainly of children, in this country. And they're investigating more things where she's worked before. She's a young woman, she's 33, totally toxic energy. And the thing about her is that she looks pretty on the surface. So there's this thing about, unfortunately, the exposure which needs to happen of toxic women. The fact that women can be murderers, women can be abusers, women can be all of the horrible things that the world has to offer. And unfortunately, that has to be exposed. So that's what I'm also feeling with that card. Yeah, you see, because look, on the bottom of the deck, we've got Sacred Smoke, which is the card of smudging, cleaning the air, purging negativity and prayer. This has to come up, the toxic female energy, what she's capable of doing. And this is just like a massive saging that needs to happen across our planet. And why does it have to happen? It's also linked into the rise of the divine feminine, that the divine feminine energy on our planet can't truly rise until we have acknowledged the underbelly, the underbelly of her. So we're going to be seeing that. We're also going to be seeing some leading female politicians in the world exposed for who they are, particularly seeing one in America with the initials HC. That has been a long time coming, and that will be exposed. Now, will it be exposed within the next 2 years? Will it be exposed within the next 2 years? HC, will that be exposed within the next 2 years? USA, will she be exposed within the next 2 years? Shaky foundation. The foundations in her world are certainly starting to shake because she's lacking support, she's unsteady, and we've got the card of impracticality. They want to carry on the merry-go-round in America. Some of these old leaders of the past, who might still actually be present-day leaders as well, or want to be future leaders, they want the merry-go-round to continue. But the foundation's becoming increasingly flimsy underneath them. And I hadn't realised this is card number 16, which is the Tower. So the Tower will fall. And it also links into the fall of people who are linked into sexual abuse. Okay, so that's that as well. Just need to be a little bit careful of how far I go on this channel because I've got a good record on YouTube and I want to keep it as such. So those of you that understand the rules and regulations of YouTube and what you can say and what you can't, I think you know exactly maybe what I'm insinuating, saying, receiving. If you're triggered by it, you're triggered by it, but it will all come out in the wash eventually. So, okay. Anything else to say with this deck then? Let's just see. I feel as though there's another couple of cards that want to come forward. Let's ask some specific questions, shall we? So let's ask some questions with regard to the war between Russia and Ukraine. So the next 2 years. Let me put these cards back into the deck. I still want to keep using this deck. Let's give it a good old shuffle though. Interestingly, that the one card battery just ran out. What was I talking about? I was talking about the war, wasn't I? The one card that didn't want to be reshuffled was this card of clearing the air, purging negativity and prayer. So that whole area, that whole part of the world, again, needing the biggest saging, smudging session ever. And I do wonder whether smoke might be involved in doing that at some point, but it will be sacred smoke. Anyway, prayers up for Ukraine and Russia, and ultimately for the people involved, all people involved, innocent people involved, and animals as well, of course, and Mother Nature. Let's see, anything else to say with regards to the war over the next 2 years? Okay, we have sound healing, braving the storm, remnants of Atlantis, and quarantine has come up again as well. We have the Sky Bridge as well come out. So the Sky Bridge to me is a card, unfortunately, of people passing over. So it feels as though the death count there, war, there's always going to be death count, will carry on. It also feels, though, as though there is, I'm picking up Gorbachev here, Mikhail Gorbachev, and of course a man of peace, a man who wanted to bring down the Iron Curtain and bring peace between America and Russia. I feel as though he is wanting his energy to come in over Russia to help them, but also to help the Americans as well. It's as though he's a bridge. I feel as though Gorbachev is the bridge. It's quite interesting. That card, if you can see there, it's a letter C, it's almost a letter G for Gorbachev. Feels as though that's Gorbachev is the bridge. And it feels as though there are powers, positive powers in the realms above, ex-leaders of our world who were on the right side of history, let's put it that way, who want to step in to stop this war. But, let's make no bones about it. There is a continuation here. The storm is still raging. I said when I first read on this whole situation, whenever it was, a year ago, 2 years, I don't know how long the war has been raging, I said it was an unwinnable war. And I did receive something from Metatron today. He said when it is eventually over, it almost will be impossible to see who really won. And that's a weird one, because the newspapers will report whoever won, but it will be, is that actually the truth? And I know that sounds a bit strange, but that's what I'm feeling, I want to say. Again, it's as though the truth, or what we're told, isn't necessarily going to be the truth of the situation, and may very well not have been for a while now. So we've got braving the storm, facing difficulties, finding courage, fortitude. So the storm is carrying on, basically. We have sound healing here coming through. I'm picking up, I don't know who it is, I'm picking up a Russian, I think it's a Russian composer. Now, I am no expert on classical music whatsoever, so I couldn't tell you who it was. I wonder, I think it begins with a B. Brahms wasn't Russian, was he? No. Who was Brahms? He was German. I don't know, guys, but I'm picking up a Gorbachev and I'm picking up a Russian composer for some reason. But equally, this feels as though it's taking me into a territory where sound can be used as a weapon, and sound can also be used to heal. I wonder whether sound as a weapon is going to be coming into this war. And again, I don't really want to know the details of what that is, but I know it's possible that sound can be used as a weapon. And if that is the case, then sound can be used to counteract it. I'm seeing bleeding eardrums. So, no jokes, please, about, the pop star you don't like. This is genuine, serious weaponry based on sound frequencies that can harm the body, harm the organs, and it may well be that they're already being used, but I'm feeling there's more of that. So we counteract like with like. We counteract sound, can be both destructive, but it can also be healing. So those of you that watch me who are sound healers, Please put your focus on that part of the world and send positive vibrations. Atlantis we'll have a look at separately because I'm not sure how that fits in yet. We've got the card of quarantine and lockdown. Let's pull a clarification on that again. Feels as though if the world was to go into any type of new quarantine or lockdown, somehow it impacts the war, whether that's to do with weaponry that then gets stalled and can't get to them as quickly, or supplies somehow running out, or somehow if the wider world goes into lockdown or Russia went into some form of lockdown, it impacts this. Can I please have clarification on why quarantine is coming up with regards to the war between Russia and Ukraine? Why is that coming up, please? Why is that coming up, please? Why have we got quarantine? We've got Field of Dreams. I don't think it's saying anything that I haven't already said previously, so I'm going to move on from that. To counteract the negative, we've got to focus on the positive. Okay. Remnants of Atlantis. What's this about, please? The past resurfacing, past lives and karma. Yeah, I was talking, wasn't I, about the Gorbachev and this, whoever this is here, this Russian composer or Russian, somebody who worked in the Russian court. It's not Rasputin. It's somebody, I don't know. It's a healer, a Russian healer, I think linked into music. Why have we got the Atlantis card, please, for the situation with the world and Russia and Ukraine? Why have we got Atlantis coming up here, please? Wounded healer. Wisdom from experience, humanity. Oh, okay. It's going to bring up, if it hasn't already, memories for many of us when we teeter on a precipice. And many of us have lived through civilizations which went under. Atlantis went under because of all sorts of reasons, but, you know, through fighting, the golden age didn't last. The civilization fell, effectively. The civilization fell. And it feels as though what's happening at the moment with Russia and Ukraine and the threat of war, nuclear war, it's bringing up memories from the past where we've seen other civilizations fall and we're scared. And it's the part of us that's wounded, that needs to be healed, needs to be tended to. We need to, it says here, humanity, wisdom from experience and care. We need to be sending the positive vibrations of manifestation towards greater humanity as well, to tend the Atlantean wound is what I'm hearing. The Atlantean wound, but I'm also feeling the Egyptian wound. Any civilization that you're linked to, that you lived through, where you saw it fall apart, where it didn't resurface. These are times in our world right now which is triggering that moment, and we're thinking, oh my God, not again, not again. It doesn't have to be like that again. We just have to, this time, manifest in a different ending, although of course it's never really an ending. There's always just endings and new beginnings. So, which is the Ascension path, the awakening path. Okay. I'm feeling as though there are many people at the moment on this planet with Atlantean lifetimes, and many of us have come back just for this moment to remind the masses, as it were, never again, never again. We're not doing that again, never again. We've worked hard to get to where we are. We're not going to throw it all away again. Okay. So that's the war. Anything else to say with regards to the war? Let's just one more card. Quarantine again. We've got caught in the web, manipulation, safe in your bubble. Yeah, there's so this feels as though this is one of the biggest things to look out for, potential new lockdowns or quarantine. And you're going to have to think about how you would deal with that, whether you would acquiesce, whether you would just roll over and, accept everything that's being said to you as fact, or whether you've maybe learnt from the experiences of the past. Funnily enough, I was with somebody the last few days who was very pro, all of the lockdowns in the last pandemic, and did all of the things that were required. And they were really waking up to it all, and just sort of saying there was no scientific basis for it, which there wasn't. And people are starting to wake up more. So it'll be interesting whether this would be able to play out again to the degree that it did last time. I think you'll see certain countries around the world who are more compliant and who will, but I think there are other countries that will be like, hell no, no way. And I definitely think UK would be one of them. I can't really speak for other countries because I'm not there, but I can only speak from my own country's perspective. But I definitely feel as though there would be more people in the UK than there were last time who would just say, no, sorry, no. And if you say no, then what can they do? What can they do? They can't lock everybody up. So it'll be an interesting time. Caught in the web, manipulation, drama and intrigue, because this is the toxic female energy again as well. I wonder if there's going to be a toxic woman in a position of power that's coming in. Not sure. Not 100% sure on that. Not sure whether that is true or not. But let me just see what goes with this card. Caught in her web. Caught in her web, you see. Not his web, caught in her web. What is this? Caught in her web. Manipulation, drama and intrigue. What does that mean, please, Metatron? Why have we got caught in her web? Say no more. I'm not saying anything. There'll be some people who are already mortally offended because I've mentioned that person. It's the same card that we had for that particular person. So she's going to vie for top office. I mean, I can't believe, really? But stranger things are happening in our world, but doesn't mean she'll be successful. Maybe she's manoeuvring behind the scenes. It's a USA political leader, female. Here also, though, we're being advised, step out of all of this. You're safe in your bubble, safe from harm. You're protected, you're sheltered. And this is to do with the frequency that you carry, which is, I am not frightened. I am not in fear. I'm not in fear of this. I'm not in fear of this. I'm not in fear of any of it. I am safe in my bubble. That's not ungrounded fantasy la land. That's somebody who totally understands at a metaphysical level that the vibration that you hold is what you are. Okay, so go into your heart. Go into your solar plexus, go into your sovereignty. You are free. You are sovereign. It's all of that. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to ask about galactics, which is a huge old subject. Let's just see. Galactic energy over the next 2 years, ramping up, accelerating. Faster crafts, I'm hearing. Faster crafts in the sky. Galactics over the next 2 years. Not sure whether this is the right deck to ask that question. I'm going to leave the cards there. I don't really see how they fit into the question I've just asked. So I'm going to go to Ashtar. I've got an Ashtar spray. Let me just grab it. The next 2 years, please. The next 2 years. Ashtar, the next 2 years. State of contact, state of visibility, state of disclosure. Okay. What I'm being shown is the Earth's... I'm hearing him say there's nowhere secure or safe enough to land. There's nowhere safe or secure enough to land. Now, that's from their perspective, of course. That doesn't mean that they're not amongst us. It just means that the big craft that lands in the middle of Times Square or anywhere else, that's not going to happen. But it's equally the case that the vibration of the Earth at the moment is so changeable from day to day. They find it hard to navigate that because they have what Ashtar's saying is they operate along a consistent excuse me, beam of light, a consistent frequency, a consistent sound, a consistent hum, a consistent, what I can only describe as timeline. And at the moment, the Earth is glitching, is what he's saying. The Earth is glitching. It's as though from day to day, timelines are shifting to an extent that has never happened before. I just hearing glitching. It's as though Mother Earth is glitching. So it's a bit like the analogy of, have you ever been up in an aeroplane and you're about to land and then there's a terrible storm or something, and just at the moment when you're about to land, you have to abort the landing and you have to go back up and you have to circle. That's the energy I'm getting from him. So it's not that they don't want to make contact. It's more that the frequency here is so irregular. He's now shown me the analogy of a heartbeat, and the heartbeat is Mother Earth, and she's fine, don't worry. But it's more that he wants to see the steady beat, the steady heartbeat, effectively, because then they can align their frequency with us. He's showing me it's as though it's like you set a course to travel somewhere, to land somewhere, to be somewhere, to stay somewhere. You set that course, you charter that course. But it's as though they can't properly charter the course at the moment because there's too many, not unknown factors, but changeable factors. And he's saying it's not on a day-by-day basis, it's on a minute-by-minute basis. I'm just being shown the Earth glitching. That's the only way I can put it. It's like glitching. And until the glitches stabilise, which they will, is what he's saying, it's very hard for us to make our presence known on a consistent, permanent, unequivocal basis. So you're going to get more flashes and insights and sightings, but the big one, no, it's not happening in the next 2 years, is what I'm feeling. Anything else to say, Ashtar? That we are with you. We are always with you. But I'm being shown now, it's like, do you remember the old Star Trek films when, Kirk was on the bridge, Captain Kirk was on the bridge, and then the aliens, sorry, he doesn't like that word, star beings were trying to, broadcast on the Starship Enterprise. And sometimes the picture would glitch in and out or fade in and out. And it was like you got a bit of them, but then they faded again. That's what I'm seeing. It's that type of energy. So they're there, but it's like it's hard for them to make consistent contact, communication, all the rest of it. He says it's also quite hard for channelers at this moment as well, because every channeler is a human being, and all of us, without exception, are going through frequency upgrades on a daily basis as well. And that's why those of you that channel, some days you can do it well, sometimes you get nothing. So you just got to wait for the peak periods, is what he's saying, in terms of periods of communication, and not force it. When there is a silence, a radio silence, there is a radio silence for whatever reason. But just trust that it will come back online. We will come back online. Yeah. Okay. Right. I'm going to pull a couple of cards for USA. Again, huge old subject, but let's just see. I feel like I've done that deck now. Let's pull another deck. I'm going to pull a card from the Christ Consciousness deck for America. because I think that's where we're at. USA, the next 2 years, please. Christ consciousness. What is the main energy that is required, needed to heal the wounds? USA, next 2 years. Living from the heart. See that? Living from the heart. It says soften and open up. And on the bottom of the deck, that's really lovely. We've got the open door, Christ within you. That the walls, the divisions between people have to soften. The days of it just the walls just getting higher and higher and higher, at some point it has to give. And this lotus is going to burst forth. And it's the heart consciousness within the country. It's the lotus within the consciousness of America itself. It's also at an individual level, but it's also within the land as well. It's within the land, it's within the people. And when this arises, a new form of governance will be demanded. And when that happens, the open door will come in. There's the rainbow there. So those are nice, positive energies to be working with. Definitely. We've also got the energy of gentleness. So there's definitely a requirement for America to soften, to allow in the gentleness and the softness rather than the brittleness which we've seen so much of over the last few years. And when this arises in the average person, you will get a leader that reflects that. Not before. Okay, so the inner work starts with each of you to be that lotus flower, to allow that lotus flower to bloom within yourself. And when it blooms within enough of you, you're going to get a totally different type of leadership. And you'll have a totally different type of country as well. Be beautiful. So that's where you're heading, which is nice. But let's just have a look at some cards. Do I want to use that deck? Yeah, why not? This is the Knights Templar Tarot deck, actually, that I got in France. It's got some pretty graphic cards on it. So I'm just going to say that at the outset in case they come out. Let's just have a look at USA for the next 2 years. So we know this is the answer. Love is the answer, as John Lennon always used to say. Let's just have a look at the energies. USA, next 2 years. We have the Hierophant. There's a lot of teaching to be done. There's a lot of lessons to be learnt from the past. There's a lot of lessons to be learnt from each other. There's a lesson that each side needs to learn from the other. The Hierophant is also linked into government. And we have the Wheel. This is the card of the Wheel of Fortune. And we have the Three of Swords and the Three of Pentacles and the Two of Wands and the Lovers. Okay, I'll stop there. So what this is saying to me is that there is a command, is what I'm hearing from Spirit, for the people to start to work together. Three of Pentacles is working together. Can you see these cards? Sorry, let me just move them up. Three of Pentacles is working together. And it comes in on the back of the Three of Swords, which is an ending of the old ways. But there's a choice. The Lovers is the card of choice. There is a choice that needs to be made for the new beginning to come in, which is the Two of Wands. Those people that follow my work a lot know I've been talking a lot about trees recently. Sounds a bit bizarre, but for example, yeah, I don't even need to, if you don't know, you don't know, but just trust me, I've been talking a lot about trees. And the analogy here of the two trees that are standing apart, but yet feel as though they are at one because their branches are reaching out to each other. It's like you need to be a bridge. There needs to be a bridge back to those who you oppose. And it's fated that it will come in. 2 years feels a short time frame for this, to be perfectly honest, but This is non-negotiable, is what I'm hearing. This is non-negotiable. This has to happen. This is the card of fate, that there needs to be a new way to come that comes in. This also could be government working in a different way. I can't see it happening in 2 years, but I've definitely seen a day where you have a government, and this will be in other countries as well, where people of different political parties form the government and they sit in a circle. But that feels as though it's more like a decade off, maybe a little bit longer, but that will come in at some point as well. So those are some cards for America. I'll pull one card for Trump, one card for Biden, but I don't want this to become a fighting match over the two men. Need to detach from that. One card for Trump, one card for Biden. Let's do Trump first. One card for Donald Trump, next 2 years. Donald Trump, the next 2 years. One card, please. The Queen of Wands with the Emperor on the bottom of the deck. It's very possible that he gets back into power with Melania, or, well, I assume it's Melania, with a woman vice president. It's possible that that can happen. In fact, the more that they push him, the more likely it is. I think the people that are writing him off because of the indictments, it's a little bit short-sighted. So he could do it. He could still do it. Doesn't mean he's going to. It means he could do it. Could. Biden. Let's have a look at Biden. Next 2 years, please. Joe Biden. The Five of Cups, which is the card of walking away, with the Six of Swords, which is also the card. Six of Swords is walking away. Five of Cups, not a great card. 10 of Wands, that's a horrible card. And, you know, it actually shows somebody who they're being dragged by this horse. They've got their hands to their head. Their head is hurting. This is to do with his mental condition, his dementia. It will become, I mean, to me it's very obvious anyway, but some people still can't see it. It will become increasingly obvious. And here we have a ruin. It's a ruin. And here we have this is the card of moving away. So from these cards, and it's only 5 cards, so, you know, things can change, but it shows Trump in the stronger position. Having said that, there are other contenders that could come in, and I can't help but just pull a quick card for RFK Jr. Okay. Although 2 years might be too soon for him. Might be the one after this, the election after this. But let's just see. Next 2 years, RFK Jr. Ooh. The Eight of Pentacles. Well, he's working hard at it. Working very hard at it. But, I mean, that's taking an awful lot of energy. It's, I used the expression today on a short video for Instagram. You either use the velvet glove, the hand in the velvet, the fist in the velvet glove approach, which is softly, or it's like the bull in the china shop. I don't think he is a bull in the china shop at all. I really like him, actually. But this is showing someone who's it's really hard. It's really difficult. But making progress, you know, definitely working towards something. Eight of Pentacles. I'm just going to pull one more card for him because I can't resist. And then we will move on to a different country. We've got the Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, he's the Knight at the moment, not the King. But he has got the Chariot on the bottom of the deck as well. So one to watch for the future, if not now. Okay. 2 other subjects very quickly. I'm going to pull a couple of cards on Justin Trudeau because people are always asking me to pull cards on Justin Trudeau. Justin. I don't know how you bear to listen to his voice. Sorry, I'm just being real. You're listening to my voice. Maybe you can't bear my voice either. I couldn't believe it the first time I heard his voice, which was quite recently, actually, in terms of a long speech. But anyway, he's more than his voice. He's a divine human being. He has a soul. I shouldn't judge. Cancel, clear, delete. Apologies to Justin. Just being real. Ooh, okay. Well, whatever. Let's see what's come out. The Knight of Wands. The Fool. The Nine of Pentacles. It's on the bottom of the deck. The Empress. The Eight of Wands. It's all raining down over him. The Empress is his wife, I suppose, that he's, obviously the divorce is happening, which is always sad when a marriage ends. Well, it feels like he's off to a new beginning, but I don't know what this guy is supposed to be on this card. Can you see that card? He's very grey, and not there's anything wrong with being grey, but he looks, I don't know, it's an old... Maybe he's getting a few grey hairs. I don't know. I can't take this too seriously now. I'm getting tired. Justin Trudeau, what am I feeling here? I feel as though he's done what he came to do, whether you like that or not. He's picked the fruit from the tree. He's had his fill of the fruit. It just feels as though he's got his sights set on something else. Whether that's another top job or whether that's just moving on because he's actually had enough. It does feel as though there's a lot of stuff coming in at him. But I'm picking up that he's sort of going to be okay. So for people that don't like Justin, sorry, but, you know, I feel as though he'll be all right. Doesn't mean he'll keep leading the country. Two of Swords, yeah, he's got a decision to make. But I feel it's his own choice to walk away or to... It's almost like he's pressing a self-destruct button at the moment. That's what I'm feeling with him. Yeah, Page of Swords. His mind is elsewhere. His mind is not on the job at the moment. It's not just to do with his divorce. It's as though something's caught his eye. Something has caught his eye. And there's a lot of energy of just like, I want to move on from this. Maybe, does he get bored easily? Feels like he gets bored easily. I think he's bored of being Prime Minister of Canada, to be perfectly honest. I think he's got irons in other fires. Is that the expression? Is there a woman around him? Has he got a new love interest? Might be a woman here. I feel like he's interested in another woman. Or somebody who carries Empress energy, feminine energy. Don't know. The World, yeah, he's completed. He's done. He's I mean, it might still have a few more months to play out. The Moon, Three of Wands. Yeah, it feels like there's a new phase for him coming up. If he was sitting opposite me, I would be saying your time is virtually done there. And there is pastures new calling you. And good luck, mate. How will the Canadian people feel when he goes? I'm sure he's loved by many, but he also seems to be hated by many. The Hanged Man and the Tower. Ooh. Okay, the stuff that's, and the Sun, yeah, the stuff that's going to be coming up about him. Oh, gosh, yes, Judgment and the Devil. There's a lot of stuff to come out about Justin that many people don't know about, and it'll all come out, and people are going to have a different opinion of him when the Tower falls, because the Sun is illuminating the Tower, and then he receives a judgment. He receives a judgment for maybe some dealings with another energy that is not positive, is all that I want to say there. So I said I was going to look at the royals, but to be honest, I think I will save that for another day. I've probably got myself into enough trouble with this video. Anyway, guys, I hope it's helped. I think I will just end by going back to the generic energy of the next 2 years, and I'm going to pull a couple of charms. We're going to have 4 charms, and we're going to see what comes through. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have the Star. We have the Merlin hat. We have Ganesh, the elephant. And we have a fairy. We have elemental help. We have magic. We have Ganesh, who is the remover of obstacles. And this feels as though this is linked into the sun, radiance, sovereignty, light, keeping it light, whatever happens. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for today. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and share this video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe if you would like to see more videos.